on Beach Brie. Beach Brie takes about 39 rubber bands for her hair. You're going to need about 61 rubber bands for the skin tone and 10 bands for the color of her bathing suit. Let's make that 12 bands because I've added 2 to her hair. If you'll notice, she does have hair on the back of her head, and I've made 2 little long ponytails for this. I will show you in the demo how to do this and achieve that. The hair is something that I started with the Prince Eric, Ariel, and King Triton tutorial back in April. So go take a look at those if you want to see how the hair is done differently on those 2 also. Let's begin this lesson with today's loom set in its offset configuration with our arrows pointing towards the right, going towards the right. We're going to begin laying the hair with double bands at the top, and then we're going to move into some single bands. This is an advanced technique, and it is a little difficult in some areas, so I want to warn you in advance. Let's begin by placing a single brown band, 1 brown band, on our center peg here, and allow it just to dangle over the edge of the loom. That is going to be our securing band, or I call that a dangle band. Take 2 bands, and we're going to place those from right to center. 2 bands from center down on a diagonal. 2 bands coming up the top. 2 bands at the top again. 2 bands coming down the center once. 2 bands coming down the center again. 2 bands coming down the center again. 2 bands coming down the center again for a total of 4 times. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 sets of 2 bands. Whoops. 2 bands again, coming down the bottom. 2 bands coming down the bottom again. Our next step is to take and place a single band, 1 band. We're going to come down the loom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So we're going to come down to this point with 1 band. 1 band. 1 band. 1 band. That's number 4. 1 band, and that's number 5. Now we need to do the same thing on the other side with a single band. 1 band, 1 band, 1 band, 1 band, and 1 band. We need to finish off this diagonal here, but this diagonal is going to be a really long diagonal. You need 2 bands. 2 bands, and we're going to go from 1, 2, 3, top peg number 3, down here to the center where it ends. So you're going to stretch that out in a really long diagonal from 1, 2, 3 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to do the same thing with 2 bands again on the other side. Make that really long diagonal. Push everything down, and now we're going to do our cap bands. For here, we're going to need a 2-time cap band. So take a single band, wrap it around my hook twice, stretch it out, and place it on there. For these end pieces here of the hair, it'll be a 3-time cap band. So there's number 1, number 2, and number 3. So it looks like there's 3 on the hook. I'm going to stretch that out and place that over that piece. Again, 1, 2, and 3. Looks like there are 3 bands on the hook. I'm going to stretch that out and place it over that piece, and that's the end of our hair. And now we just need to do the cap bands for this area. A single band to form a triangle here, and a single band, one band, to form a triangle right beneath it. Okay, and now we're ready to loop part of our hair. We're going to start down here, and I'm going to loop up this edge. This is her ponytail. This is this piece right here, and this piece right here. So we're going to loop those first. And I'm going to begin at the bottom of my loom by reaching in, grabbing that single band and looping up once, single band loop up twice, single band number 3, single band number 4, and single band number 5. Our next step is to do the same thing on the right side. Reach in, single band number 1, single band number 2, single band number 3, single band number 4, and single band number 5. Now I need to start in the center, and this is going to be a little odd, but push back that cap band and grab your top 2 bands, which are going off to the left. Reach in again, grabbing the top 2 bands, and these are going off to the right. We're going to reach in again to that cap band, grabbing those 2 bands that are there, coming forward once, and you'll notice that my cap band just slid off. I do need to pick that cap band back up, and I need to put it back on that peg. So my cap band had fallen off on those 2. This part's a little bit tricky, but we need this extra link in here. So for the center again, you've got another piece of a cap band there. Push that back, grabbing the bottom 2 links, and looping forward once, and again. You do not want to finish that last peg. You do not want to loop up to that peg. So for our hair, we're going to reach in on the left where everything joined there, pushing back items, and we're going to loop forward just one more time. And on this side for the hair, we're going to loop forward one more time again. Now, the tricky part comes in with the hair. I want you to take off your left side to the point right here, and I just want you to remove it off to the left side. That's secured her hair in, but we just need to get it out of the way for future reference and other things we need to do. On this peg number 2, the link that you just looped forward, this link right here that you just looped forward, take it off and move it back to the 4th peg down. This is going to be linked in later when we do the top portion of our hair. That's this link right here. And we don't need to do that until later after we've assembled part of her face. So that's just a holding pin for that link right now. We need to do the same thing on the right side. Pick up the hair, move it off and out of the way. Grabbing the 2nd link down, the one that you had just looped forward. We're going to pick that back up off that 2nd peg. We're going to twist it and we're going to move it down to the 4th peg. We're just going to let it hold there. I'm going to hold this up closer so you see what it looks like. Make sure that your loom is set up to look similar to this. This is our hair, and this is the piece that we're going to add later, and this is our cap band that we're going to link in just a few minutes. All right, let's move on. We're going to move on to our face and body area. And for the face and the body area, we are going to be using flesh tone colors, and you want to push down everything that we have here. So be sure just to push down everything. And to begin her face, you're going to need 2 bands in your choice of skin tone color. And we're going to lay from peg number 2 to peg number 3. 2 bands, peg 2 to 3. 2 bands again, peg 2 to 3 in the center. And 2 bands again, oops. 2 bands again, 2 to 3 coming down. We need 2 bands in the center again. And our next will be to finish off the cheek area to do the diagonals. It's going to be 2 bands, closing off the diagonal. 2 bands, close off that diagonal. And the neck. For the neck, you're going to use 3 bands total. A total of 3 bands for the neck. Stretch that out and come down the center. I'm going to finish off with the face area here before I continue to loom on. We need 1 band to form a horizontal band, and that's going to go from peg 2 to 2 to 2 and form a triangle. The next one will be peg 3 to 3 to 3, single band to form a triangle. And now I also need to do her eyes. For all this, you just need to push it down just a little bit, and we're going to do her eyes. You can either have your eyes used as beads, or you can use rubber bands. I'm using rubber bands today. So for your rubber bands, take a single rubber band and you can wrap it around your hook 1, 2, 3 times. You can do 3 or you can do 4. I like the way the look of 3, but some people like the way that 4 look. Another band, 1, 2, 3. So 2 bands wrapped around 3 times, or 4 if you wish. Take a single flesh, and you're going to move those 2 black bands over onto that flesh piece and separate those out. Then you're going to stretch this across peg number 2. Peg 2 top and 2 bottom. Reach in to where these 2 bands separate. You want to grab the bottom piece, the piece closest to your right. We're going to loop that down across peg number 3. So here we have an eye and a piece kind of hanging out underneath where what would be your nose if we were putting a nose on it would be. Okay, now the only next step before we begin to lay any other rubber bands is to take this brown cap band, this cap band right here. You want to pick it up. You want to move it over onto that neck area right there. And that has secured in our hair. That is what locks the back of our hair to our head. Now we're ready and we can begin to lay the rest of our bands. As we lay the rest of our bands, we're going to take 2 bands and we're going to go from this point to this point. So from where our neck ended, on a diagonal to the right, or diagonal down, I'm sorry, diagonal down. 2 bands again, coming straight down the loom in flesh. I'm going to switch colors. We need 2 bands of blue coming down once on the bottom, 2 bands of blue on the center, switching to flesh again, 2 bands coming down, 2 bands on the center peg. I need to switch colors again. We're going to take 2 blue bands, and this part is really tricky If you don't do this part right, your legs will not turn out. Your legs won't turn out to look like mine if you don't do this portion correctly. So 2 bands are going to go from center down 1. 2 bands are going to go from this peg here on the bottom to join up with that blue peg over here. A long diagonal. So 2 bands on the long diagonal and 2 bands there in the center. Our next step is to take 2 flesh or skin tone colored, and they're going to go from the center peg over on a diagonal. That was 2 bands from center peg where the blue started over on the long diagonal. And 2 bands are going to come here where the blue ended, down 1. 2 bands again at the top, 2 bands again at the bottom, and now we are going to begin to double twist our bands. We need double twisted bands on the rest of these pegs to form the smaller portion of her leg. So 1 band, twist around your hook, stretch it out, and lay right there. 1 band, twist it around your hook, stretch it out, and lay there. 1 band, double twist, and lay there. 1 band, double twist, and lay here. 1 band, double twist, and lay there. 1 band, double twist, and lay there. 1 band, double twist, and finish off this leg. 1 band, double twist, and finish off this leg. Okay, now we're going to begin to lay some of our cap bands. For our cap band here on the bottom, these 2 pegs here, it'll be a 4-time cap band. So you want to take and wrap it around your hook and make sure that there are 4 showing. You can do 3 if you need to. If you don't like dealing with 4, you can do 3. But I did 4 on my demo girl and place that on the cap band there. Another band, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stretch that out and place that cap right there. Now the next part is going to be a little tricky and awkward. We're going to place a cap band from here to here. So straight across like this. Needs to be a flesh colored, 1 flesh going right across there. And as we loop and link, you have to be careful as we loop and link when we do things. It's going to be a little different, but it's going to hold, that's going to be what holds these bands in this area, is that horizontal band right there. Our next cap band is going to be from this peg to this peg, and that needs to be in blue. 1 blue, double twist, and stretch out. If you don't lay these cap bands as I'm demonstrating here, your item's not going to turn out correctly. Cap band here to here is going to be flesh, 1 flesh, double twist, stretch out. Another blue, double twist, and stretch out. So take a moment and make sure your loom looks like this in that area. Okay. Now, before we even continue on, I have started to add my arms in one set, another layer. So just take and push down all of this stuff. And we're going to add our arms. And our arms are going to be going down our center peg and down our bottom peg. So for our arms, the first piece of our arm is going to be going right here. Our arm will go here and here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, center 6, and bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Center 6 and bottom 5. You need to take 3 bands, 1, 2, 3 bands, and we're going to come down center 6. Once, and we're going to take 3 bands and bottom peg number 5 with our 3 bands. And then the rest will be double twist bands. 1 band, double twist it around your hook, and you're going to place that on the center. 1 band, double twist on your hook, and place that on the bottom. 1 band, double twist on your hook, and place that right there. 1 band, double twist on your hook, and that's going to go right there. 1 band, double twist on your hook, and that's going to go right there. 1 band, double twist on your hook, and that's going to come right here. 1 band, double twist on your hook, and stretch it out again. 1 band, double twist on your hook, and stretch that out again. So we have 3, a double twist 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's 3 bands, a double twist 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I just need to cap these 2 pieces off. And to cap those off, you guessed it guys, I like the 4-time cap bands. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stretch that out and secure that off on the bottom of the hand. And I think it just fell out, so I think it's only 3. Nope, it was 4. And then again right here on this hand, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So just stretch those out. Stretch that 4-time cap band out and over onto that bottom peg where our hand finishes off. Okay, now before we loop, I'm just going to hold this up and we can take a closer look. Here's our arm, which we're going to loop first, an arm there that we're going to loop first. Then we're going to do our legs and our body and then work our way up to the face. As I said before, this is a complicated design, but let's progress on to the looping. Okay, so for the looping, where your arm is, where that cap band of our hand is on the left, push back that cap band and grab your top 2 bands. It's actually a single band double twisted, but it looks like 2 bands. And go forward once. Reach in again, grabbing those 2 bands, looks like 2 bands, and loop forward again. The top 2 bands, you don't want to reach in for anything else. Come forward again. Top 2 flesh bands, loop forward again. And now we've reached a lot. We need just this 3. We need that set of 3 bands right there. So we're pushing back anything that might be there, which there shouldn't be anything there, but we just want to reach these top 3 bands. And I have only gotten 2. Okay. Top 3 bands and loop forward. I don't know what I did. I had something twisted up there. So here our arm has stopped. What I want you guys to do is to hold your finger over that peg, your fingernail down, hold these bands down. And we're going to take and we're going to reach in. We're going to take our arm off and move it over to to the left side. There's our little arm. Now we need to do our right arm of our dolly. Reaching into the center peg down here, pushing back that cap band, grabbing the bottom two and loop forward once, grabbing the bottom two and forward again. We've reached a congested peg, so we're just getting the bottom two or the top two flush and forward. Here you just want the flush, top two flush, come forward. And then this is going to be 3 bands and come forward. And our next step is to hold her finger here again and take off her right arm and move it off to the right. Just swing it out to the right. I know it looks weird because it's not lined up, but trust me, when you take her off the loom, she's going to line up and look just like this. I worked very hard to figure this design out and get that to work correctly. And that's why it's so important with your spacing of these, the cap bands, the horizontal bands, because that's what pulls it all together. Okay, now for our leg, we're going to loop up to a certain point. Then we're going to do our inside portion of our bathing suit. Do not keep looping up your leg all the way up. Stop when I stop. That is very, very, very important. So for my leg, I'm reaching in here to the left peg, pushing back that cap band, and I'm going to loop forward and just grabbing those cap bands or those double twist bands. Sorry, I said cap. Double twist bands and come forward. Now here I have this horizontal band. You need to push back that flesh colored horizontal band, grabbing the bottom two and come forward again once and stop. Stop right there. Don't go any further. Now we need to work on our right side. Pushing back that cap band and we're just looping forward, grabbing the 2 bands that are there. There's no other bands there, so just grab those, come forward. Now we've reached where there's a horizontal band. Push back that horizontal band, grabbing the bottom 2 bands, and bring those over to your center. So here is what our center now looks like. Now we're going to reach right here, and we're going to grab the top 2 blue, and we're going to bring those over to that upper left peg where our leg ended. We're going to grab these bottom 2 blue, being sure to hold on to them, and just loop them forward 1 peg. Now we're going to loop up the rest of our left side, reaching into this very congested peg right here, grabbing those bottom 2 flesh colored bands or skin tone bands and come forward once. Reaching into that peg there, getting your 2 blue and come forward again. And we've reached our arm. Pull your arm out a little bit. Reach through everything that is there. And pushing back everything, you only want the bottom 2 flesh colored bands. And swing that over. Now we can finish up here. Reach into that congested area. You're pushing back everything and you only want the bottom 2 flesh colored bands. Come forward once. Push back your flesh horizontal, grabbing the bottom 2 blue. And now we've reached this area here where the arm is, congested again. Push back everything that's there and loop forward. Now we've reached the neck area, and I'm going to pause here for just 1 moment because I have noticed that one of my rubber bands has snapped or slipped right here. So I'm going to pause for a moment and I'm just going to fix that before I move on. Yours should be fine, but I just need to go back and refix that real quick. So I will be back with you in just 1 moment. Neck area. So we ended up right here at the neck area. We're going to push back everything that you see there, and you're grabbing the bottom 3 bands. And you're going to loop forward once. And now we see our brown piece of our hair. Here's our brown band from our hair. If you want to make your life easier with this brown band, take and put it back 1 peg. That will make your life a little bit easier. Just relieve it back 1 peg. It is still linked in, but it's out of your way for the cheek portion. Reach into your cheek area, grabbing the top 2 bands, which are going off to the left. Reach into that center area again. 2 bands going over to the right. And reach into there again, and you're getting top 2 flesh colored bands. Leave the brown alone that's down there and loop forward once. I'm going to finish up the center, pushing back that area of the nose where the eyepiece is hooked in. You just want to grab the 2 flesh bands. You only want the 2 flesh bands that are down there. Come forward once. Now on the second center peg, you're going to reach in and you're grabbing the 2 brown bands that are on the bottom there and loop forward. Now we're ready to do our left side and our right side, and we need to add in these hair pieces. So before we do that, you need to reach into the cheek area, grabbing the 2 flesh bands. You only want the 2 flesh bands that are there. You want to grab the 2 flesh bands and go forward. Now you want to come down here to where our hair piece was sitting, and you just want to pick up that piece, that holding band or that holding peg, and we're going to take this hair and we're going to lay it on peg number 2. And we're going to reach into everything that's there, grabbing the bottom 2 brown bands, and we're going to wiggle them out carefully and go forward. And then 2 brown bands, wiggle them out and come across to the center. Now we need to finish up her right side. So for her right side, we're reaching in and getting just the top 2 peach bands and come forward. Then on the right side here we have our brown band, our holding one. Take and pick that up and move it over on top of your peach. Reach into everything that's there, pushing back everything, grabbing your bottom 2 brown bands. Come forward once, reaching in, grabbing your 2 brown bands, coming over to the center. And now we are ready to take her off the loom by using our dangle band. Reach in, grabbing everything that's, pushing back everything that's there, and grabbing that single band, weave that out and around, secure it on your hook, and slip knot it off. Now we are ready to take her off the loom. Please, please, please use your hook to do this, or a wooden skewer, back of a paintbrush, something. You do not just want to rip her right off the loom, because she will be not pretty looking and you'll have a lot of work to do to get her straight. So here I'm just using my hook to take her off the loom, especially in the bathing suit leg area. Once you get through that bathing suit leg area, then it's pretty smooth sailing. Get to the cap bands. But here we have got Beach Brie, and all you need to do to get Beach Brie straight now is to just tug on her arms a little bit. If you want to get her arms to turn forward more, you just simply take your hook, place it in a link, and you want to push down on your hook and pull up on her arm. Pull up on her arm, down on the hook. And that will turn her arm the way that you want it to be. This one I'm just choosing a link. Going to do the same thing. Down on my hook, up on my arm. Now for her hair, you'll see there's a little bit of peach here that's showing through. It's a very easy fix. You just simply take a portion of her hair and pull that back. And her eyes popped out a little bit more. I'm not a huge fan of rubber bands for the eyes. I like to use the beads. I'm hiding my dangle band. So just hide your dangle band and finish working on your beach brie. Hide that dangle band, pull her hair back a little bit, and you can just fiddle with it. The bands are pretty easy to manipulate. Just kind of stretch them out a little bit to cover up the areas that you want covered up. See how easy that was just for me to tuck in that peach color band that I didn't want showing. Just pull a couple of those others out and around. But here we've got our beach brie. To add the little bit of coloring on her hair, I just simply took a band and wrapped it around my hook 1, 2, 3 times. And just placed that right on there. And slid that up. Do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3 times. Just run her hair right through there. Gives a little bit of bathing suit color accent on her ponytail. And if you guys want this cute little kind of wispy spray, that was pretty simple to do too. I just simply reached into that horizontal band and took another band and just slip knotted that off onto that horizontal band. And it looks like little ties there. So all you do is just take that and give it a trim. And here you've got 2 cute little bathing suit ties. And do the same thing on the other side. Reach in, grab that horizontal band. Slip knot that together. Give it a trim. And you've got your cute little ties there. And if you don't like how much flesh is showing right there through the leg portion, you do need to fiddle with that just a little bit. Just pulling out those blue, getting them to sit on top, because one of your blues is going to be hidden underneath her little leg area. But here you guys go. There is your beach brie. And the reason why I named them brie are, I have a little friend who is named Brie, and she has got a twin brother named Billy. So I've got Beach Brie and Boogie Board Billy. And there's our cute little girls to go along with our beach series. Thank you guys so much for watching. Post your creations on my Facebook page, Crafty Ladybug -- Rainbow Loom Creations. Instagram, hashtag me at Crafty Ladybug, hashtag Crafty Ladybug. And on the web, www.craftyladybugcreations.com.